Good morning, Acadiana, and thanks for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate, our source of local journalism here in Acadiana and around the state of Louisiana. We like to bring you every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. the news as reported by the Advocate and as read by our wonderful volunteer newsreaders, people like the magnificent Bruce Cohen, who is with us here this morning. Thanks so much for being here, Bruce.
You're welcome. I can see you trying to struggle to come up with that accolade. You can just say my name. It's okay. I think people who tune in probably know it's me by now.
Well, it's part of the fun for me, Bruce, and we really do mean it. We really thank you for your service here. I'm going to go listen on Cypress Street. Thanks so much, Bruce.
Thank you, my main Matt, the guy that helms the tech for you guys. Well, like Matt said, good morning, Acadiana. It is Monday, November 30th, 2020. We're getting closer to the end of this unbelievable year. It has been an unbelievable year in many, many, many ways. For those of us that are here and breathing and alive, let's just keep it that way, take care of each other, and hopefully we'll get through this and on to bigger and brighter future things. So we'll start off this morning's news reading with an article entitled Lesson Plan. With fall semester on the books, UL system campuses peer ahead by Ken Stickney, staff writer. Thanksgiving 2020 found most University of Louisiana campuses, including UL Lafayette, have completed their fall academic schedules, with classes resuming for the spring semester in January. November is unusually early, and for fall semesters was typically extend well into December. And semester breaks of some 6 or 7 weeks are unusually long between the two semesters. Exceptions for early semester closings are at Northwestern State in Natchitoches and the University of Louisiana Monroe, where at least some students will return after Thanksgiving. Louisiana Tech in Ruston, which uses a quarter calendar system, also has completed its first quarter. Students will return for the second quarter of 2021 on Wednesday. I hate calling the semester a success because so many families were affected, said Jim Henderson, who is completing his fourth year as president of the UL system. But he said faculty, students, and staff at the 9-member campuses, UL Lafayette, McNeese State, Nicholls State, University of New Orleans, Southeastern Louisiana and Hammond, Northwestern State, Grambling State, Louisiana Tech, and ULM, weathered a tough autumn schedule as best they could. Next week, the presidents and I will have more conversations about the fall. We'll talk about what went well, what we might have done differently. We want to go through what happened and understand what we've gone through, he said. That will be part of prepping for the spring semester, which opens in January. The spring semester at UL Lafayette opens January 11th for faculty members, January 12th for new freshmen, and classes begin January 13th. Henderson said forecasting the spring semester is easy enough. Expect hybrid education and much of what the Louisiana system campuses did in the fall, except for COVID-19's unpredictability. Henderson said testing is getting better, more accurate and cheaper. The campuses are learning more about the virus and how to combat it. Expect more testing. The possibility of a vaccine, Henderson said that may come as early as December, with distribution to healthcare workers of vulnerable populations and people who live in congregate settings. If there's a vaccine, faculty, students, and administrators may be taking it during the second semester. Improved practices, Henderson suggests that when system presidents sit down next week, they may use their shared knowledge and better practices to improve how they can safeguard their campuses. But Henderson also said while COVID-19 had huge impacts on the Louisiana system campuses, there were few outbreaks of the virus related to the classroom. We did not see tremendous rises in cases and none tied to classrooms, he said. He said where infections affected students in the fall, it was oftentimes related to what was happening in the communities. The campuses did their best to influence students to social distance and wear masks, he said. At McNeese and Lake Charles, where 2 hurricanes pounded the campus during the fall semester and closed the campus to classes, the goal for spring remains on track. Open as many dorms and central campus classroom buildings as possible. Candace Townsend, McNeese spokesperson, said contractors are working to complete roof projects and repair widespread building damage. She said contractors are working practically through the night every day and won't be through December and into the start of the spring semester. The campus reopens to employees on January 4th. The semester starts January 19th. It's difficult to say how many buildings will be ready, she said, at the first day of classes, January 19th. Hurricane Laura swept through the campus August 27th and damaged almost every roof on campus. Hurricane Delta, which followed in October, added new damage, in some cases sweeping aside tarps on some roofs and contributing additional water damage. She said a couple of buildings, perhaps an academic building and a residence hall, may be ready for use by the end of December. She said McNeese's sister campus and the Louisiana system opened up facilities to administrators, faculty, and students. That included UL Lafayette, where more than 50 McNeese students were lodged in residence halls in Lafayette while taking classes remotely over their computers, mostly from Lake Charles. She said the priority is to move those students housed at other campuses to McNeese's campus for the spring. They are doing fine, she said, but they want to come home. The latest COVID-19 coronavirus news, domestic violence groups seek spike in need. Advocates say rate not slowing by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. Unfortunately, uncertainty has been a hallmark of the coronavirus pandemic. But one area that has remained alarmingly stable in the past 9 months is the increasing rate of domestic abuse and violence, which advocates warn does not appear to be abating anytime soon. Faith House Development Director Nicole Cockerman said the Domestic Violence Crisis Center has seen a roughly 70% jump in service requests since the pandemic started compared with the same period in 2019. Faith House is serving about 500 women, children, and men in domestic abuse situations per month through support with services, legal services, and a shelter, she said. Faith House serves people in domestic violence situations in Acadia, Avoyelles, Evangeline, Lafayette, St. Landry, Rapide, and Vermilion parishes, according to its website. I tell people that 2020 is a year that changed the face of domestic violence, and you don't have to look any further than your backyard to see what it's done. Most people in the community have no idea the kind of volume that we're dealing with. When people say they've had a 70% increase in business, that's usually a joyous thing. This is not joyous, Cockerham said. Cockerham said Faith House's shelter has been full consistently throughout the pandemic. The shelter has 48 beds, and the organization has found safe alternative housing for another 80 survivors. The group needs to triple its shelter capacity to meet the demand, and Faith House is exploring options to address the space need in the near future, she said. The different influences that 2020 has presented have been unlike any other year we've ever seen. We've been open since 1981, and 2020 has definitely made its mark in history in our shelter, she said. Chez Hope Executive Director Cherise Picard said there's a range of factors combining to create the volatile cocktail responsible for increased domestic violence across the region. Chez Hope is a family violence crisis center and shelter serving abuse victims in Assumption, Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary parishes, according to its website. Stress tied to the pandemic and associated job loss, job instability, housing instability, and general uncertainty can lead to increased alcohol abuse, substance abuse, and depression, she said. The stress combined with increased time in the presence of an abuser creates an environment ripe for more frequent abuse or violence. Beyond the pandemic, there's the added anxiety of a busy hurricane season. While many in Chez Hope's service area were spared severe damage this storm season, The frequency of storms and the need to prepare was enough to fuel stress, anxiety, and other negative emotions that stoked domestic violence situations, Picard said. It's also important to remember abuse isn't limited to families or couples experiencing instability, she said. Both partners' employment may be secure, but with both working from home or a partner working from home while the other does domestic labor, the increased proximity increases the risk of more frequent episodes of abuse and escalating incidents. It's making it easier for the perpetrators to perpetuate the violence. The abusers are taking advantage of this time to where they can have more power and control and manipulation, Picard said. Roxanne Martin, a domestic violence survivor who works with the awareness group Voices of Acadiana, said the amount of trauma domestic abuse victims experience when feeling trapped can be overwhelming. Pandemic has elevated that trauma because stay-at-home orders and a general sense of risk related to the virus create the feeling that executing an escape is an insurmountable task, she said. We had it on the back burner. There was a time and place you could escape. You could go to the store, you can get away from your abuser, but once you're confined to your home, you have no escape, she said. Advocates have also anecdotally related that survivors are increasingly requesting assistance filing restraining orders, but firm data was not available, Picard said. The increased need for service has put an added strain on the organizations at a time when donations are down. Cockerham estimated donations in Faith House are down around 60%. The organization has halted donations of clothing, paper goods, cleaning supplies, and other physical items because of concerns about the COVID-19 transmission, but monetary donations haven't kept pace to cover purchases. An increasingly large portion of their budget is supporting these everyday needs for escaping survivors, she said. It's been difficult maintaining financial support while being unable to hold traditional fundraisers, Cockerham and Picard said, but the organizations are continuing to provide service for every survivor in need. While additional financial support is needed, the advocate said the most important thing everyone in the community can do is be watchful for signs of domestic violence and abuse among friends, family, and neighbors, and encourage victims to seek help from local service organizations and law enforcement if they are in danger or seek help on their behalf if needed. Community members should be mindful that domestic violence isn't always obvious. One of our main things is just because you don't see someone walking around with a broken arm or black eye doesn't mean they're not in a domestic violence situation, Martin said. Domestic violence and abuse survivors can reach Faith's House at 8888, that's 888-411-1333, and Shows Hope at 337-828-4200 for 24/7 confidential assistance. And I'm sure they both have Facebook pages and websites. That's Faith House and Chez, CHEZ Hope. And now we're going to turn to a couple of public service announcements. And we'll start off with Vitalent, urgent need for blood donations. Blood and platelet donations often drop during the holiday months as fewer donors are available because of seasonal activities. But this year, the outlook is particularly worrisome, with many schools transitioned to virtual learning and businesses in work and from home situations. About 1,600 Vitalent blood drives have already been canceled for November and December. Currently, there is an urgent need for O-negative blood, the universal blood type that all patients can receive. O-negative donors can maximize their impact by giving a power red donation. Vitalent encourages donors to make an appointment by visiting Vitalent at vitalant.org or by calling 877-25-VITAL. That's 877-25-VITAL. The BBB announced a Thanksgiving food drive. Actually, today is the last day for the food drive. As Acadiana looks to enjoy cooler weather and a holiday season starting with Thanksgiving, it is important to remember our community during these trying times. As part of their impact initiative, the Better Business Bureau serving Acadiana is hosting a food drive through today, November 30th. Food donations can be dropped off at the BBB office at 4003 West Congress Street in Lafayette and will be given to the Second Harvest Food Bank in their efforts to end hunger. The BBB team will pick up donations if requested. Second Harvest has suggested donation items include non-perishable foods and supplies, preferably in non-glass containers. These items include grains such as cereal, pasta, rice, and flour, evaporated and dry milk, cooking oils, canned fruits and vegetables, dried fruits, proteins including canned meats, dried beans and peanut butter, coffee, paper products, diapers, and cleaning products. Requests for mosquito control now available through Lafayette 311, mosquito prevention and safety. And before I read that, I just want to say that the Thanksgiving drive for the Better Business Bureau serving Acadiana ends today, but you may want to check with them and see if they have a holiday or Christmas drive to start this week or next week as well for donations. You can check that out by going to their Facebook or website page or calling them or contacting them at 4003 West Congress Street. But to continue with the request for mosquito control, mosquito prevention and safety, the Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, is increasing mosquito abatement efforts in the parish. An increase in mosquito activity is always common occurrence following a storm event, and we've had many this past year. Citizens noticing an influx of mosquitoes in the area can now use the Lafayette 311 portal to request service. All submitted requests are routed directly to Mosquito Control Services, the mosquito control contractor for the parish. Okay, getting back into the local news live. A restaurant finds home in Lafayette. Mama Rita's Kitchen displays from Lake Charles by Julia Gilbo, staff writer. Even amid a pandemic, 2 hurricanes, and whatever else 2020 has in store, the vision Rita Durgan had for her Mama Rita's Kitchen is still unfolding. While most may see evacuating from a hurricane and being forced into relocation as a setback, Durgan said her move has brought her closer to her dream soul food restaurant, even closer to God's plans for her. In September, Durgan opened Mama Rita's Kitchen in the space that recently housed Walk and Roll at 6699 Johnson Street in Lafayette. A restaurant on Broad Street in downtown Lake Charles was destroyed by Hurricane Laura. She and her family initially evacuated to Gonzales and came back to find not much left of her home or her restaurant. Everything was just devastated, Durgan said. Like many evacuees from the Lake Charles area, she and her family found housing an hour east in Lafayette to be close enough for her to keep an eye on the cleanup in Lake Charles. That's when she then stumbled upon a temporary location to operate the restaurant until she can return to Lake Charles. I didn't come here to look for a business, she said. I didn't move here for that particular reason, but it was a blessing in disguise. Durgan's restaurant dates back to 2014 after her fight against breast cancer when she began making home-style soul food. She credits God with her restaurant's success, saying she had always wanted to open her own kitchen after years working in the restaurant business, but God gave her the right place and time. I've been planning it for years, but every time I try to do it on my own, God shut the door, Durgan said. I look at it like this. He was telling me, wait, not yet. I have to hear you first. In her initial vision for the restaurant, Durgan said she dreamed of having a drive-through style location, but that wasn't possible at her Lake Charles location. But now in Lafayette, her place has a drive-through. We have a small indoor dining space. This is what I really wanted, she said. I wanted to downsize, and God gave it all to me, what I wanted. I love what I do. I love people. I love cooking. This is a passion. I come here at 6 in the morning by myself, and my first work doesn't get here until 10. So that I should tell you something right there. Since opening in Lafayette, Durgan says she has met new customers along with old customers from the Lake Charles location. Some even have driven from Lake Charles to Lafayette on the weekend to eat at her new location. She has continued her customers' favorite thing about her food, the home-cooked flavor, with the main saying it feels just something their grandmother and mother used to make. I love Lafayette, the city, the neighborhood, the family, she said. people here are friendly, and the hospitality. They've come in here and they've welcomed me. That's a nice story. It's always nice to have a bright story to read during these times. Okay, continuing with the news. Group keeps focus on growth. Lafayette Women's Chamber of Commerce finds a niche by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. This is local Lafayette news. It's unlikely School Mint, which would have relocated its California headquarters to Louisiana without help from the Lafayette Women's Chamber of Commerce. Executive with the educational software company were considering expanding the Lafayette office a year ago, but were so impressed by the Chamber's hospitality during a pre-pandemic visit in February that they decided to relocate their entire operation. Debbie Ryan, who started the Chamber in 2018, picked up Schoolman's team from the Lafayette airport and mailed the members a care package once they returned to their San Francisco office. In between, Ryan connected the executives with community leaders who shared information on Lafayette's tax incentives, university programs, available real estate, and cultural appeal. It was just so touching to me that she cares so much about us and our business, said Tracy Michelle Davis, Schoolman's VP of Human Resources. He even encouraged us so much that our CEO moved, the Chief Revenue Officer moved, the CFO moved. We have about 15 people who have moved to Lafayette from California, New York, Florida, and a few other places. It's sometimes difficult to quantify the benefit of an organization like the Lafayette Women's Chamber of Commerce. After all, the region had several existing organizations with similar missions before the 2018 founding of the Women's Chamber. Ryan, who owns a marketing firm, had long wanted to start something different from the region's primary Chamber of Commerce, one Acadiana, or the smaller, more niche chambers and associations, such as those that focus on Black, Asian, or Hispanic businesses, and those in Broussard, Youngsville, Karen Crowe, or Scott. Ryan thought a women's chamber could fill a void. With the help of co-founders Elaine Alderman and Anita Link, Ryan started the first Women's Chamber of Commerce in Louisiana in July 2018. The nonprofit organization aims to advance women in business and give a voice to their collective strength in Lafayette's economy. The key to making that happen, Ryan said, is focusing on networking and keeping membership affordable. Annual membership fees range from $55 to $220 for small businesses. Higher priced corporate memberships also help to fund the Chamber's events and offerings. Women especially need to connect with other women on business, Ryan said. You don't necessarily know if something is woman-owned, woman-led, woman-run, and it doesn't matter as much who owns the business as much as keeping the money in Lafayette. Our goal is to grow what's here by working with and for our members. After Ryan guided Schoolman executives around the area in February and connected them with other organizations, Ryan asked the company to consider joining the Women's Chamber. There was no hesitation. Davis signed Schoolman up for a corporate membership on the spot. I've been just really amazed by and grateful to the Chamber, Davis said. I'm amazed because it's only been around for 2 years, and when Debbie shared that with me, I was like, you've created so much, it's very polished, and it looks like it's been around for 10 years at a minimum. In July, Schoolman announced the San Francisco-based education software company would relocate its New York and Miami offices to Lafayette, bringing with it nearly 200 jobs with an average salary of about $75,000. Vicki Roy, who joined the Women's Chamber in 2019, would claim one of those jobs. When I interviewed with Schoolman, that was one of the things that they really liked about me, said Roy, who works as the company's office manager. They saw I was a member of the chamber and that they worked with Debbie previously and contacted her as a reference. David said Schoolman received more than 1,000 resumes in a week after announcing this Lafayette move. Normally that number is fewer than 100 per week. The company has turned to the Women's Chamber to fill positions when options have become overwhelming. Debbie has helped me with recruiting, Davis said. I'd reach out and say, hey, we have this job in marketing. Do you have anyone who might be good for it? That's been really great. In just over 2 years, the Women's Chamber has grown to about 500 members, including 30 men who support the organization's work. I really love helping people, and I don't want to put a price tag on that, Ryan said. Lafayette lives in a bubble. We always bounce back. If somebody gets laid off, they start their own business and they make money to pay their bills. And those are the kind of people that are in our chamber, people that want to work, people that want to advance their career, that want to grow the business, that want to help the community. And that's our main goal and focus, is just to help our members accomplish their goals. Lisa Josie started a Tucson canning operation called Josie's Goods 3 years ago after her husband was laid off from his oil field job. Together, they make and sell pepper jelly, preserves, and pickled vegetables at farmers markets and small stores in South Louisiana. Our business was born out of necessity, Josie said, but we're happy to support our farmers and get the local food economy moving in the right direction. Josie chose to join the Women's Chamber in 2018 primarily because of its affordability. She had considered other business associations but ruled them out after seeing their annual membership fees. I knew it was important to be in a chamber, but price was important too, Josie said. Josie said the $55 annual fee for her membership has been well worth it. With help from the organization, she's creating a website for a small business and applying for a marketing grant. She's also connected with local real estate agents to include her products and welcome baskets for home buyers. My husband and I have a philosophy that people are our greatest assets, Josie said, and the chamber values that as well. 80% of marketing and advertising is still word of mouth, and the chamber's helped with that just by broadening our network. Most of the Women's Chamber's networking and educational events have gone virtual this year because of the pandemic, but they're still providing value to members. Roy says she recently participated in a useful financial health event. As she considered the value of her personal and later professional memberships with the Women's Chamber, Roy said it might not be a coincidence that the organization has grown during a year that's been especially challenging for business owners. The Chamber gives us a way to network and promote products and services and things like that for those within the organization when we're not really able to get out and do business in person, Roy said. I think it's grown a lot because we're just not able to connect in person. To learn more about the Chamber or view a directory of members, you can go to LafayetteWomen'sChamber.org. Okay, it's almost the half-hour mark, which usually means during my broadcast, we turn to the day in history, the zodiac, or horoscope as I like to refer to it, and the funerals in the Acadiana area for today. So we'll start off with a day in history. Today is Monday, November 30th. It's the 335th day of 2020. There are, folks, potentially 31 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history, on November 30th, 2000, Al Gore's lawyers battled for his political survival in the Florida and U.S. Supreme Courts. Meanwhile, GOP lawmakers in Tallahassee moved to award the presidency to George W. Bush in case the courts did not by appointing their own slate of electors. And I forgot to mention, there are 31 days left in the year, but today is what they refer to as Cyber Monday. So get online and shop, 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 shop. On this date in 1782, the United States and Britain signed preliminary peace articles in Paris for ending the Revolutionary War. The Treaty of Paris was signed in September of 1783. In 1803, Spain completed the process of ceding Louisiana to France, which has sold it to the United States. In 1835, Samuel Langhorne Clemens, better known as Mark Twain, was born in Florida, Missouri. In 1874, British statesman Sir Winston Churchill was born at Buckingham Palace. In 1900, Irish writer Oscar Wilde died in Paris at the age of 46. 1936, London's famed Crystal Palace, constructed for the Great Exhibition of 1851, was destroyed in a fire. In 1940, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were married at the Braham River Beagle Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1960. Also in 1960, the last DeSoto was built by Chrysler, which had decided to retire the brand after 32 years. In 1981, the United States and the Soviet Union opened negotiations in Geneva aimed at reducing nuclear weapons in Europe. 1993, President Bill Clinton signed the Brady Bill, which required a 5-day waiting period for handgun purchases and background checks of prospective buyers. In 2018, on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Buenos Aires, President Donald Trump and the leaders of Canada and Mexico signed a revised North American trade pact. 10 years ago today, Pentagon leaders called for scrapping the 17-year-old Don't Ask, Don't Tell ban on openly gay military service after releasing a survey about the prospect of openly gay troops. The policy was rescinded in 2011. Also on this date 10 years ago, the Obama administration announced that all 197 airlines that flew to the U.S. had begun collecting names, gender, and birth dates of passengers so the government could check them against terror watch lists before they boarded flights. 5 years ago, jury selection began in Baltimore in the trial of Officer William Porter, first of 6 policemen to face charges in the death of Freddie Gray, a 25-year-old black man who died of a severe spinal injury while in police custody. All charges against Porter were dropped after a mistrial. 3 other officers were acquitted. All remaining charges were later dropped. 1 year ago, wintry weather plagued Thanksgiving weekend travelers across the country as a powerful and dangerous storm moved eastward, dumping heavy snow from parts of California to the northern Midwest. Looking at today's birthdays, G. Gordon Liddy is 90 years old today. Country singer recording executive Jimmy Bowen is 83. Movie director Ridley Scott, known for the famous Alien films, is 83. Screenwriter Jeffrey C. Ward is 80. Movie writer-director Terrence Malick is 77. Rock musician and singer Roger Glover with Deep Purple is 75. Playwright David Mamet is 73. Actor Mandy Patinkin, 68. Musician Shuggie Otis. If you haven't heard his work, you should check him out. Shuggie Otis, 67 years old today. Singer Billy Idol. That White Wedding. He's 65. Doesn't sound anything like him, but you know what I was trying to do. Comedian Colin Mockery is 63. Former football and baseball player Bo Jackson is 58. Actor-director Ben Stiller is 55 years old today. Singer Clay Aiken is 42, and model Chrissy Teigen, 35. Looking at the zodiac or the horoscope, if you're a Sagittarius, what you accomplish today will be impressive. You will gain the respect of people who matter to you. Share your thoughts and feelings. Focus on improving your immediate surroundings. Capricorns, avoid pushy people in tense situations. Don't battle over something trivial. Take the high road and let others do as they please. Direct your energy into something worthwhile. Aquarius, stop trying to please people who take but give nothing in return. Choose your friends wisely. Walk away from dodgy or high-pressure situations. Pisces, tunnel vision will help you avoid getting drawn into a destabilizing situation. You have much to gain if you work hard to make your dreams a reality and take care of yourself. Aries, size up your financial situation and make plans that will help improve your life. A change of pace and some education could lead to a financial shakeup. Taurus, an unexpected change will push you into a healthier direction. Spending more time with someone who inspires you to exercise and eat properly will lead to friendship. Don't let hype mislead you. Gemini, do all you can for a cause you believe in, and you'll meet people who share your concerns. Working alongside others will lead to opportunities. Make honesty and integrity priorities. Cancer, hidden matters will make it necessary to slow down and listen carefully. When in doubt, do the wrong thing. Work alone and bring about positive personal change. Romance is featured. Leos, accept the inevitable and turn any negative into a positive. Work to make a difference and reach out to people who share your concerns. Be an innovative leader. Virgos, my particular birth sign, keep your emotions in check and your mind on your goals. Be smart and counter any difficulties someone throws your way with well thought out ideas. Strive for perfection and speak up. Libras, be observant and stick to your plan. Don't let the changes others make confuse you. Spend time with active, engaging people who encourage you to be the best you can be. And finally, Scorpio, don't let anyone pressure you into purchasing something you don't need. A personal change will help stabilize your life. Romance is on the rise. Talk to people who share your concern. And as always, the horoscope or the zodiac is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact, folks. Get it right. Okay, in the Acadiana era, funerals today. James Dubois, Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic Church at 901 East Elm Street in Crowley at 10:30 a.m. And Gerald Savoy, St. Peter's and Paul Catholic Church, 1110 Old Spanish Trail in Scott at 10 a.m. Okay, let's look at a couple other public service announcements before we move on. The Acadiana Symphony Orchestra takes a virtual stage. The ASO, or the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra, announces that they are shifting the fall and winter portion of the ASO 36 revival season to a virtual live stream platform. ASO believes that this is the unquestionable solution to keeping our community safe while still providing opportunities for local musicians to share their passion and earn income despite mandated restrictions and uncertain venue viability. ASO has and will always remain committed to providing outstanding performances to Acadiana and fueling the cultural economy of our region. Symphonies, businesses, and organizations across the country are having to rethink, retool, and reinvent, and we are no different. So thank you for your grace and your patience as we map out the next few months. We are working tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify plans for those virtual concerts, and it is our commitment to you that we will clearly and concisely communicate ASO 36 revival season details throughout the year. At a minimum, we are certain that you will receive the highest quality live streaming performances, which you can enjoy from virtually anywhere. So the next one up is a program entitled Believe, and that's to be held Thursday, December 17th, 2020, and that will be a virtual performance. The next concert will be entitled Adore, and that will be Friday, February 12th, 2021, from the Acadian Center for the Arts. As of right now, it may be virtual or not. You should go to the Acadian Symphony Orchestra Facebook page or their website to get updates. To continue, they have two other programs. One's called Empower on Friday, April 16, 2021 at St. John's Cathedral, and Revive Thursday, May 13, 2021 in St. Mary's Church. Whether they're virtual or not, you should definitely go to their Facebook page or website to check. AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. The United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC 2, Cox 16, and LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. For daily schedules and to submit content for the program, visit the United Way of Acadiana website, unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. And we'll get back into our news here. An article entitled, I'm Not Really Recovered. Some virus fighting symptoms for months. By Jacqueline D. Roberts, staff writer for The Advocate. Recovered coronavirus patient Tara Green considers herself one of the lucky ones. Lucky that she escaped the ICU with her life, lucky her debilitating COVID-19 symptoms didn't last, and lucky that she may soon have a chance to return to something like normal. It's been roughly 6 months since Green 59 was released from Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center after 47 days in the hospital. The ordeal left her so weak that she had to relearn things such as walking, brushing her teeth, and taking a shower. Then there was the toll of the hospitalization itself, when Green was intubated for 4 weeks. She now goes to physical therapy every few days to address a pinched nerve from remaining in one position for so long during her illness, though she is nearing the end of her treatment. The after effects of COVID can look very different from patient to patient, according to Dr. Daniel Nuss, an ear, nose, and throat specialist at Our Lady of the Lake Physician Group who works with patients in recovery from the virus. Doctors are still trying to understand exactly how COVID-19 affects people who have recovered, but a broad range of symptoms and a varying timeline makes it complicated. Most people currently know more about COVID than they ever wanted to know, Nuss said. While we're all still trying to figure it out and get a handle on how we should behave and what we should be doing to prevent it, and then how to treat the problems that come from it. Nuss said that as with many other viruses, some people with COVID-19 fall ill, recover, and go back to normal within a few weeks. Others experience a specific symptom, such as a persistent cough or vocal exhaustion, that may dissipate in a month or two. Then there are the long haulers, a category Nuss said is not well defined, but is characterized by people who have had COVID-19 and continue to deal with extremely burdensome symptoms long after their last positive test. For those patients, getting out of bed every day can be a monumental challenge. We don't have a good sense of how long the average person takes to recover, Nuss said. Not quite back to normal, Natasha Venable, a 36-year-old nurse assistant at the lake and is a former patient who continues to experience the aftershock of her illness months later. She was one of the earliest patients to be admitted with COVID-19 diagnosis in mid-March. Like Green, she was intubated and finally released after 71 days, becoming the 450th corona patient discharged at the lake. Her family was overjoyed when she returned home, and she continues to rely on her husband and teenage children to get her through each day. But Venable said everything is still not quite back to normal, not really recovered, she said. Venable rattled off a litany of health problems that she said have plagued her since she left the hospital: numbness, PTSD, shortness of breath, disrupted scent, short-term memory loss, and comprehension issues. She has attended speech therapy and physical therapy to relearn walking. Her lungs took a hit, she says, so her breathing has been strained. A self-described independent person who has long been the rock of her family, physical setbacks have taken an emotional toll. I doubt myself more than I used to. I fear a lot of things, she said. My balance is not all the way back. I'm scared to run. I'm scared to re-injure myself. It disturbs her to see people refusing to wear a mask in public or neglecting social distancing precautions. She has learned never to take life for granted, she said. So now she spends her time raising awareness about her experience with COVID-19 so others don't suffer like she did. I showed them my track mark, she said, referencing the scar on her throat from where the breathing tube was inserted. Venable is not alone in her day-to-day challenges. Nuss said some of his coronavirus patients in recovery tell them they struggle with depression, headaches, and a brain fog that makes it difficult to focus. These symptoms can last months, he said. It's not clear if these symptoms are damage from the virus itself or the result of a long stay in the ICU combined with a cocktail of medications. Less frequently, some patients face blood clot disorders or permanent respiratory problems with injury to the lung function, Nuss said. Many people have severe kidney damage that can, in some cases, be permanent. Those patients will have to live on dialysis or receive a kidney transplant. In certain circumstances, quality of life becomes another issue. A patient's loss of taste and smell can be temporary or permanent, for instance. Post-COVID-19 life results in almost like PTSD for some, Nuss explained. They're well one day, and within a short period of time, they become mortally ill with the virus. It's probably understood, he said. They may have survived it, but it's lingered with lasting problems. That wears a human being down. Survivor's depression for other patients, survivor's depression. For other patients, they might have overcome the worst, but they also have lost something from the virus too. Tim Haston, a 45-year-old behavioral health nurse at Baton Rouge General, fell ill over the summer. Different family members also contracted the virus. his mother, stepfather, grandfather, and 2 uncles. While he managed to battle his symptoms at home, several loved ones died. Haston continues to experience problems such as blood pressure issues, chronic fatigue, and occasional shortness of breath. This frustration is reserved for those who don't believe in the harmful effects of COVID-19 after he's lost so much. It kind of sucks because people don't take it seriously, he said. Those people actually have somebody they know come down with it. God forbid somebody passes away from it. Then it's like a slap in the face for them. They're like, oh, this thing's real. Apart from potential isolation as a result of their coronavirus diagnosis that LUS has said can be profoundly dehumanizing, these recovered patients may also suffer psychologically from losing people they care about. We have some people who are survivors who can't quite reconcile what they've survived, and something they love did not survive, he said. That's a bit of survivor's depression. The COVID-19 call center at the lake provides patients in recovery with contacts for support groups, social workers, and specialists to aid them in their recovery. LUS, once one such specialist can reach, people just need resources. It's so new and people are so very fearful. In the meantime, they have been gathering data for patients to better understand what they're up against and how best to move forward. Although the vaccine, which LUS said everyone should receive, is on the horizon, he cautioned Louisiana residents to continue to take precautions in the intervening months. It's not over yet, and we all have to keep our guard up, he said. Moving on, funds sought for hurricane protection, coastal officials to use money for emergency repairs by Mark Schiffelstein, staff writer for The Advocate. Louisiana coastal officials are pushing the state's congressional delegation to support an expected emergency supplemental appropriation bill aimed at this year's record-breaking hurricane season to provide money for emergency repairs to beaches, barrier islands, and other wetland restoration projects. But they're also hoping that if such a bill is considered by Congress, it will also include billions of dollars of long-delayed federal support for hurricane protection projects, including the 92-mile levee around Houma from Morganza to the Gulf. U.S. Representative Garrett Graves, Republican from Baton Rouge, said in an interview this week that the chances of such a bill being considered during the lame duck congressional session are good. He said the damage caused by Hurricanes Laura, Delta, and Zeta in Louisiana, Sally in Alabama and southwestern Florida, and Beta in East Texas, combined with wildfire damage in California, Oregon, and Washington state earlier this year, has created interest for emergency funding among a large number of members of Congress. When you look at the cumulative impacts of these storms and the wildfires, all with the backdrop of COVID going on, there really isn't any question about the need for a disaster supplemental, Graves said. The Congress has not yet acted on such a measure, has anchored Kip Klein, Coastal Advisor to Governor John Bel Edwards and Chairman of the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, which oversees both restoration projects and coastal area levees. Everybody who pays attention to this issue should be pissed with the amount of attention the federal government is paying to this issue, Klein told members of the Governor's Advisory Commission for Coastal Protection, Restoration, and Conservation during a recent meeting. If we don't get funding for these projects that have been authorized for years now, I don't think we ever will, he said. He was referring to 3 major projects approved from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that has yet to receive any federal funding. A similar $1.4 billion South Central project in St. Mary, St. Martin, and Iberia parishes calls for elevating and relocating or flood-proofing more than 3,500 homes and business structures, but also has received no federal funding. Graves and Klein both link funding such projects as mitigation through the emergency supplemental process. Makes sense because they both respond to the damage from this year's storm and are aimed at reducing damage from future hurricanes. Louisiana prisons hastily pull plug on family visits. Visitors may bring risk of infection, officials said by Julia O'Donoghue, Louisiana Illuminator. Louisiana prisons have been preparing for about a month to resume family visits during Thanksgiving week after suspending them 8 months ago, but prison officials hastily pulled back on those plans, saying family visits will no longer take place. The prison system was worried about the rising COVID-19 infection rate in Louisiana's free population. Spokesman Ken Pasterik said, the infection rate within the prison system has been lower in recent weeks, but officials concluded it was not safe to introduce more outsiders into the prison, he said. The decision to reverse course was sudden. Pasterik said the morning of November 19th that prisons were going to open up to family visits, albeit on a restricted basis. Within 2 hours, he said family visits had been postponed again, and he wasn't sure when they would resume. Prison system banned visits from both relatives and attorneys on March 12th because of COVID-19. They had planned to resume family visits, in part because nursing homes in the state had opened up to some visitors already. Relatives of prisoners said they had heard directly from inmates that visitation would resume for the holidays, though no official announcement has been made. While Louisiana's coronavirus infection and hospitalizations are rapidly rising, the White House Coronavirus Task Force told state officials in mid-November that Louisiana should impose more COVID-19 restrictions to slow the local spread. The sharp increase in the state's COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations occurred after plans to open prison more were already underway. Visitation was supposed to take place on a dorm-by-dorm basis within individual prisons. Each dorm would have a time slot, and inmates would have to meet with their relatives at the same time as others in their dorm to discourage widespread mixing. Dorms with a person who tested positive for COVID-19 would have been shut down to visitation for 14 days. Families with people who are incarcerated had mixed reactions to the prison system's decision to open up visits on a limited basis. Some said they planned to participate, but that it would be difficult not to hug or touch their loved ones. Others worried that it was too dangerous, putting the inmates and relatives at too much risk for catching COVID-19. Monday, official end to 2020 hurricane season by Chad Kelder, staff writer for The Advocate. If there was ever a year to mark the passing of November 30th with a sense of relief, this will be it. Hurricanes Laura and Delta devastated the Lake Charles area in late August. In mid-October, while Hurricane Zeta wreaked havoc with downed trees and power outages throughout metro New Orleans in late October. Meanwhile, coastal communities stacked sandbags so frequently there was less to do each time another storm threatened, and as the season went on, there always seemed to be something threatening. The New Orleans area found itself in the cone of uncertainty so many times, 8, that officials ramped up their efforts to warn against complacency. John Lafayette Mayor Tom Kerner Jr. said closing the book on the 2027 will feel more like Christmas than Christmas. And today is Monday, November 30th, and it is the official end of the hurricane season. Let's just pray that that is true to form. Okay, reaching demand, as major expression underway, Southern medical marijuana licensing growing and researching by Kristen Mossbrucker, staff writer. Workers inside a temporary medical marijuana growing operation in Baker are preparing hundreds of plants each month. Each month they're being used to manufacture cannabis products for patients across the state, while a major expansion is under construction. Excuse me. For about 2 years, Valeria Holistic Healthcare has been the licensee for Southern University, which is conducting research at the site while the company crafts its commercial products. Valeria began selling its THC products for the first time in Louisiana in July, joining LSU licensee Wellcanna as the 2 state-approved medical marijuana providers in the state. The products are sold through 9 especially licensed pharmacies across major metro areas and Louisiana. Each of the marijuana plants at Valeria's Baker's facility on Plant Grove, being used to create medicine, began as clones from other plants of various strains chosen by the company and university. researches. Lafayette began the process with 24 potential genetic strains of cannabis and whittled it down to 6 main types of plants formulated for medicinal purposes and research by parsing it out based on mostly yield and quality. Temperance, the scent profile from plant oils, are another factor. The company seeks to use temperance with medicinal benefits. Those include a linalool, which is considered to have anti-inflammatory properties, and one that can stimulate an appetite for patients who have nausea. Each mother plant can produce thousands of clones. As the plants grow larger, they are moved to long racks stacked toward high ceilings in a mostly vertical growing operation. That maximizes the volume of product per square foot. The amount of artificial light a plant receives can stimulate growth. Some plants may get upward of 12 hours of artificial light during the process. And that about wraps up the news stories. We're going to have one more last sports story to read to you about the 8 Raging Cajuns. But it's now currently 9:55, which means our broadcast, our audio broadcast on the TV stations will end. But you can continue listening to this morning's broadcast at our online streaming station at Cypress Street Radio. That's CYPRESS Stream Radio. Cypress Street Radio. Go to the browser, put in Cypress Street Radio, bring up the homepage, click the play button, and you'll continue to hear the news broadcast. You can also listen in at our YouTube station, which is AOC Community Media. Apparently, unplanned week of off gave UL boost. Cajuns display optimism en route of UL Monroe. And it's a Time Out article by Kevin Foote, who's a staff and sports writer. And the Time Out is his column, so it's usually from his perspective. In between the past 2 games for the number 21 ranked UL Raging Cajuns, that's number 20 in the nation, folks. A lot has happened and didn't happen. The team missed a handful of practices because 33 players experienced some form of COVID-19 issues. UL coach Billy Napier tested positive, entered a 10-day quarantine period, and missed even more practice time. Somehow it had little impact on the Cajuns, who delivered an eye-popping 70-20 road win over UL Monroe on Saturday to improve to 8-1 on the season. We wanted to start fast, and I thought we did that, Napier said. We still made a handful of mistakes in the kicking game in particular, but outside of those mistakes in the kicking game, it was a solid day. Last week, Napier suffered the unplanned week off. Might be a blessing in disguise. After crushing the Warhawks on Saturday, safety Braylon Trahan agreed. I feel like not practicing those few days helped us out a lot, I think, Trahan said. Just getting our legs back together and helping us regroup on the offensive side, the defensive side, I felt like it helped us. We got back this week and practiced hard in the show today. Don't get the impression, though, nothing was accomplished on the practice field during the 2-week break. For one, Napier said the offense worked specifically more in the passing game. One of the things we worked on this week is we put an emphasis on throwing and catching, in particular on some of the simulated periods and the good-on-good periods, Napier said. We really wanted to focus on our ability to continue to improve in the throw game. It's just a big part of who we need to be on offense. I think that Lewis took that to heart. The practice plan works, and it paid off today. We certainly took a step forward in those areas. Furthermore, Lewis said the Cajuns' stout defense helped the offense progress as well. During this past week, it was like a bye week, but we really practiced against our defense, Lewis said. We've got one of the top defenses in the country, so I think our defense helped us out on that. Keeping that momentum, keeping us sharp. Iron sharps iron. Iron sharpens iron. I commend our defense on that. Our defense really does a good job in making us better because they give us all their every day at practice. It's another thing to combat having an extra player in the box, Napier said. We picked our spots to do that. I thought we had some good design, and he certainly made most of those opportunities. But when you're playing against that structure, that's one of the things it forces you to do. It was the first time Levi Lewis rushed for 2 touchdowns throughout the game. It was something he knew he had in his back pocket. When the quarterback runs the ball, they don't have anybody for you, Lewis said. When it's man-to-man, there's nobody for the quarterback. I knew that. There wasn't going to be a quarterback spy. I watched the film and knew that, so I knew I was going to be able to run the ball. Lewis and Napier acknowledged the quarterback missed a few chances in the passing game, but he still completed 18 of 25 passes for 147 yards and 3 scores. You don't have that much success if you're getting really good from the quarterback, play from the quarterback, Napier said. I thought Lewis was really sharp today. He missed a few, don't get me wrong, but he did a nice job of moving the ball on Saturday. And the next game now comes real short of transferring all that progress to the most significant Sun Belt opponents out there. That's Appalachian State on Friday, which was a rescheduled game, and Coastal Carolina on December 19th. And that about wraps up the broadcast for this morning, folks. This is Local News Live, a broadcast in accordance with, in collaboration with the Acadiana Advocate, with the AOC, that we read the news stories, local, state, and sports, and all the other news that fits into an hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday. We enjoy giving you the service, and we appreciate you tuning in. If you wish to become a volunteer newspaper reader, you can do so by going to our website, aocinc.org. That's aocinc.org. Go to the volunteer tab, fill out the form for the newspaper reading volunteer program, and Miss Mandy will get in touch with you and set you up. And for the last 9-10 months, we've been doing it from our home studios, which I am doing it from this morning, because getting back into the studios is not an option at this point, though I would like to get back into the podcast booth at some point. So I will bid you adieu this morning. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. I encourage you to be safe, healthy, and smart. Please be smart, folks. The article I read from the doctors and patients in the Baton Rouge area, just be smart. This is a very deadly disease and virus, and it's a virus, and it's very deadly. So just be very smart about going out there, wear your mask, do all the protocols, and we'll keep doing it. It's not going anywhere soon, so we have to just keep mindful of that and keep ourselves safe, keep our loved ones safe, and other people out there in the world safe as well. And as always, be kind to each other.